My parents said, "You're never going to get a horse, so just get it off your mind because you're never going to have one." And my dad wanted me to ride dirt bikes and play softball, and my mom, she just said they were way too expensive. So, but worked out at Whispers of Hope, volunteered, and finally talked them into getting me a horse when I was 14.
Living life, living right. If you want to ride with me, you better hold on tight. All right. Gas is calling for wild rides. The forecast is calling for wild rides. It might be sunny and blue skies, but the forecast is calling for wild rides.
I'm Dale Polkey with Dakota Community Bank and Trust, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Wild Rides.
So I grew up in Wichita Falls, did not grow up riding horses at all. My parents are not horse people. So I actually started volunteering at Whispers of Hope Horse Farm, which is a therapeutic riding facility, when I was 10 years old. And so I did that, and my parents said, "You're never gonna get a horse, so just get it off your mind because you're never gonna have one." And my dad wanted me to ride dirt bikes and play softball, and my mom, she just said they were way too expensive. So. But worked out at Whispers of Hope, volunteered, and finally talked them into getting me a horse when I was 14. And so did that, rode all through high school on that horse, ran barrels, and just the typical stuff that girls do in high school. Ran barrels, tried to learn to rope, all that good stuff. And then I graduated high school and went to nursing school, and graduated from Midwestern State as a registered nurse, and worked in the emergency room in Wichita Falls for about 6 months, and decided that nursing probably wasn't for me. And so that was it. Well, I was one of those kids that my parents said, "You need to go to school and get a degree that has benefits and, you know, all that good stuff. And you don't want to be a horse trainer. You don't want to do anything that has to do with the agriculture industry." And they were not raised in the agriculture industry, so they knew nothing about it either. So you know, they wanted me to have a consistent job. So nursing was just what I picked. And I liked science and math, so it was good. I enjoyed nursing school and just didn't so much enjoy the nursing part of it. And I could see myself doing it. I could have done it the rest of my life, but I liked the horses a lot better. I worked in a level 2 trauma center, and it was awesome. You know, we really could help people, and I enjoyed that part of it, and there was a lot of excitement. You never knew what was going to come through the door. I worked the night shift, and we had great doctors, and I worked with great nurses, and but it just, my horse business, I had kind of created it while I was in college to keep afloat in college, and it just grew so much, and it started kind of hitting its peak about 6 months out of nursing school when I was working, and I found myself wanting to take off because I could make more money and do better in the horses than I could nursing. And I just said, well, we're just gonna go for it. Everybody thought I was crazy, but that's what we did. You know, it's just the typical 13-year-old girl. I loved horses, and that's what really started all this, was I had a passion for horses. And it grew to performance horses. You know, when I was 17, I didn't know what a good horse was. I mean, I had no idea. I was riding a Tennessee Walker quarter horse cross that crossfired every time you loped him in a circle. No, he didn't know how to stop, turn, nothing. I mean, we just cruised around, and I just thought I was in heaven, you know. And I went to working for Crumpler Brothers, cutting horses in Wichita Falls, and they were really the people that kind of gave me the insight into the cutting horse industry. And so out there, I worked for them and learned kind of the difference in a good horse and what I was riding. And then I started giving riding lessons, and we lived right next to an Air Force base. So there was people coming in from Germany and all different countries that they wanted to come to Texas, and then it was airplane pilots. that were learning to fly, and then they wanted their kids to ride, you know, so it was just like a wide open market there for riding lessons, and I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of really good kids and parents that were committed, and we really had a good time. And so I hauled those girls around to barrel races, and we would take a 12 horse with, you know, 11 lesson horses and one for me, and it was fun. So that, it was kind of like my way of being able to give those girls a chance that I had but didn't have. You know, they were 10 years old and learned to ride good horses in the right way, and I kind of had to wing it a little bit, but it worked good for me. You know, it was all kind of part of the process. I learned pretty quick that maybe I wasn't as much of a horse trainer as I thought I wanted to be, you know. So anyways, what I started doing was Facebook was just kind of evolving at that time. And you started seeing people put their, you know, that was maybe the beginning 10 years ago of social media marketing. And so I started taking their horses that weren't good enough for the cutting, and we would either sell them on the internet, or I started them on the barrels, and we would get them going on the barrels, and then I would sell them that way. Well, this was the first time they had ever been able to sell these cutter rejects without having to take them to the horse sale, you know, and they were bringing more money. And so it was fun and exciting, and it was good for them, and it was awesome to me. I didn't even care if it made any money. I just thought it was so fun to sell these horses, you know. And so that was kind of how that part of it evolved, as I started selling horses for them. And, you know, I was in nursing school at the time. So they would pay me a little commission, and, you know, I just thought it was just the greatest thing in the whole world. I'm going to nursing school 4 days a week. I get to sell horses and give riding lessons 3 days a week and every evening. And it was the life, you know. At that point in time, I was running barrels a lot. Turned 18, I got my my WPRA permit, started pro rodeoing a little bit, and I was riding these cutting horses, and I loved it. And I had a horse that kind of started me off. His name was Kisses. He was a Nita's Wood gelding, and was a nice cutting horse, but not good enough. You know, went through the motions, just not good enough. But I took him and started running him, and that was the first good horse I ever had that it made it so fun. You know, it was addicting. That is when it becomes addicting, you know. And that horse, once again, I'm not a horse trainer. That horse trained himself, and he was so easy to pilot, and so he was just awesome. So I filled my WPRA permit on him, and then shortly after, a lady called and wanted to buy him, and that was that. So we sold him. And I made a few in between then, and sold them for those people as well. And I really enjoyed that process, but that wasn't something I saw myself doing full time. I really enjoyed the marketing and the sales. That was what I kept going back to. I'd think, well, you know, I'm not gonna train cutting horses, so let me go try barrel horses. And I enjoyed it, but I loved selling them, you know, and I loved marketing them. So that's where I kept seeing myself, I kept pulling myself back to the marketing part of it. Whether you're a horse trainer, or you're self-fitting yearlings, or you know, raising or have a cow-calf operation, I'm sure a lot of people that watch this understand it. You are 100% committed.
I'm John DeBoard, owner of Double J Saddlery. We're here in Yoakum, Texas, home of Double J. We've been here in business for 22 years. Very proud of our organization, family-owned business, multi-generation. Our primary focus today is to build a saddle tree in our shop that fits your horse and fits you equally as well.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust is your leading ag lender. We have always promoted farming, ranching, rodeo, and our Western heritage. In 1987, Hugh Connolly won the first saddle we sponsored, and since then we have sponsored nearly 200 saddles to rodeo athletes. We have been a leader in the ag business and the Western way of life since 1940. We have been a proud sponsor of rodeo, ranching, cowboys, and the cowboy way for the last 80 years. Come bank with us at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
At RJL Enterprises, we understand that your livestock business is about more than just numbers. It's about quality, pride, and building something your family can be proud of. Our business is the same. Over the last 30 years, we've had the honor of our family personally delivering our products to livestock producers across 45 different states. RJL Enterprises, quality livestock equipment from our family to yours.
I learned to ride, and especially working for Crumblers, I learned to ride a really, really wide range of horses. Like, I rode, 20 different horses every day. And so my patience level is not great with a horse as far as the patience. I want him to be trained right now, you know what I mean? And so I did not, I wasn't so good at the training part of it, but I could pilot him good enough to get my videos and do all that stuff. And I kind of got a knack for being able to recognize that horse's potential, whether it needed to stay in the cutting or it needed to go to the barrel pen, or if I didn't feel like it could really run and he needed to be a ranch gelding or whatever that horse was suited for. And I think my skills kind of honed in more on recognizing where I needed to try to place those horses more so than being a horse trainer, if that makes sense. So what I kind of developed, what I have is kind of a niche deal. It's not a lot of people do it, but I think my skills are more so that I can get on those horses and say, this is where I think they would be best suited, and try to match them with people more so than making them a better horse than what they are that day, if that makes sense. Essentially, I'm a matchmaker. That is the name that a lot of people have given me, is a equine matching specialist, is what a friend of mine called it last year. We were trying to come up with a name for it. And so, but I love that part of it. Like, it's a challenge. We get those horses and I can fit them. And I love getting the phone calls when people say, this is, I've been calling you for 6 months and this is the exact horse that I wanted, and we have a large volume of horses. So I always tell those people, they'll call me about a horse and I'm saying, this just probably isn't the right horse for you. But if you'll just wait, the right one will come in. Like, I'm telling you, I will get what you want, but this one's probably not it. And when you tell people that, their loyalty to you is almost instant. And then they're ready. When you call and tell them that, hey, I think this is the right one, they pull the trigger right then. And so that's my favorite part of it. Then we match them, they get them home and they love them, and it makes it all worth it. We put those horses that we get in a situation where they're in a brand new place, and we will put the heat on them couple days and see what we've got, and we see how they react quickly, and that way we know where to go with them. And we probably don't get as close to some of them as some people do at home, but we see the personalities of those horses is obviously vast, and it's funny how it really goes with their breeding a lot. We have the Rainers, and they're a little more dainty, and they've always been very barn kept, and their manes and tails have been very taken care of. And you get those, and they are very dainty horses to be around. They're not tough. They're not, they're not interested in being turned out. We turn them out and they sit and pace at the gate to come back in the stall, and so it's funny, we see some of their personality is very human-made too. They're a creature of habit, no different than us, and they want to be in their stalls with their fresh bedding, and they're not really interested in that turnout or that green grass, And and then we get the ranch geldings, and they're extremely uninterested in being in that stall, and they want out and they want to that pasture. And so we do get to see a lot of different personalities, but probably not as much as the owners do when they get them home. They spend a lot more time with them, obviously, when we sell them, and really get to see their personalities come out. You hear it all the time, but when you commit and you want to be the best at whatever it is, and you want to try to be the best at whatever it is you're doing, whether you're a horse trainer or you're self-fitting yearlings, or raising or have a cow-calf operation, I'm sure a lot of people that watch this understand it. You are 100% committed if you really want to be the best, and it means sacrificing a lot. I mean, you're sacrificing a social life, you're sacrificing family time, you're sacrificing relationships, but when you find something you really want to do, it's a hard decision to make in some aspects, and it's not in some aspects. And it's a tough balance for me. You know, I really try. I have a niece and a nephew, and they live close in Dallas, but I really try to make a work and family balance and make sure I spend time with those two, you know, especially them. And they like the horses, so that makes it fun. They're starting to enjoy all that. But, you know, we, especially in the breeding operation, 6 months out of the year, that's all you do. It's 7 days a week. It doesn't matter how cold or hot or what holiday it is. We have to check those mares, because if they're a breeder the next day and you miss them, it's a huge loss. And some of these mares are, you know, they're 6 to 7 digit mares, and missing a cycle on them because it was Easter Sunday is not an option. You know, whether I own them or a customer own them, it's just not an option. And so, and I think a lot of people that own livestock can attest to this. You can be gone for one day and you'll come home and there's 3 babies trying to die out there, and you just have to be present with them all the time. And you have to, I have really good people that work for me, but I still feel like that I have to be in the middle of those horses and make sure I'm watching, because ultimately it's up to me to make sure that they're taken care of, you know, correctly. And that's a lot. During breeding season, it's a lot, because those babies, it's like that, and you're at the vet and you're a $3,000 vet bill into hoping they live, you know, so it's full time. You know, it used to be you could go around to these cutters and buy these geldings for $4,000 to $6,000, and they were grateful you showed up. If you showed up and bought them, they were like, you are my best friend right now, because we have been trying to get rid of these things and we can't do nothing with them. And now, I mean, you're just begging them to be able to go, look, can I please come look at your geldings? Oh, we want $20,000 for them. You're like, I'll take them. You know, like you can't even touch them for $20,000 anywhere. I mean, so yes, the market's gone up. The breeding, I'm gonna be really interested to see how it pans out in a couple years, because there has been more breeding of high quality cow horse and cutters and barrel horses this year than ever. I mean, there's no recipient mares left. There's none left, and that has never been the case. I mean, it's always been short, but it's nothing like this year. And the ICSI is changing the game in the horse breeding. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how our horse market responds to this, because I think in the next couple of years, we're gonna have an influx of 2-year-olds starting. So I guess it would be the babies born in 2022. So 2024 to 2026 is gonna be very interesting, because I think there is gonna be a huge number of young horses. They're straightforward with me. They're not calling me and saying, I need an open level sorter. You know, I can ride one, you know, and you send them one and that horse is, you know, they fall off of it the second time they get on it.
Have you been putting off having your roof replaced? Now's the time to call Shetler's Construction and Roofing of Southwest North Dakota. Don't let your old bad roof cause problems and expense. Call Shetler's Construction and Roofing today for a free estimate.
Big Boy Toys.
Demand for land in central and western Nebraska has rarely ever been as strong as it is right now. If you've been thinking of selling, please let Lashley Land and Recreational Brokers show you how they sold $77 million of Nebraska real estate in 2020 alone. 98% of all buyers now begin their search online. Lashley Land appears at the top of all Google search results for all types of Nebraska real estate. Give them a call or check them out at LashleyLand.com.
Introducing Vitalix Feedlot Starter Tubs, formulated for beef calves before and after weaning to help decrease pull rates and stress while increasing saliva. Feedlot Starter Tubs contain Diamond V Nature Safe, which supports immune strength, antibiotic stewardship, and gut health. They're also packed with a Veil of 4, a nutrient containing organic zinc, manganese, copper, and cobalt. Vitalix. Stretch your profits with every lick. Visit Vitalix.com to find out more.
Shetler's Construction and Roofing is Dickinson's residential and commercial roofing contractor. Whether your roof needs shingles or metal, you can trust Shetler's Construction and Roofing to provide a quality finished product. Call today for a free estimate, 690-7713.
I want to continue to do the horse deal for sure, but I really want to get in the real estate. Like I like the real estate and I like the commercial real estate, and I think it's exciting. And I'm one of those people, I get a little bored with stuff. Like once I feel like I've conquered one part of it, I'm like, okay, well that was fun. So let's see what else we can try to see if we're good at something else, you know? So I love it, you know, and I really enjoy it. And so I don't think I'll ever leave it, but it's really big right now, and it's a lot to manage. It's a lot of employees, and it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of horses, and we all know what the overhead is whenever you stack 200 horses in a place. I mean, it's a lot. And so, you know, I think I want to grow, but at the same time, I want to downsize to having the very best. You know, like I want to have the best mares with the best colts. And I think, once again, I keep going back to the ICSI. I want to have a couple of those mares that are like the mares, you know, and be able to ICSI them and raise those colts every year, and get into the real estate and do more of that and continue with the online horse sale. I really like that. But I would like to venture more into the real estate part of it. And ranch real estate, I love the ranch real estate, you know, as far as buying that land and either, you know, cutting it up into smaller ranchettes or however it may be. That's something that I'm kind of learning. I don't know a lot about it yet, but that's what I want to do. It's like, it's booming. I mean, that whole 377 corridor is unreal. And land prices I just sold my ranch there, and the land prices have doubled from last year. I mean, it's just unreal. And so it goes in hand. You buy these ranches and you use them, or you have your customers buy them and use them. And then we want them to buy them in a place where the value is increasing that much every year. I mean, it's not going to continue to double every year, but if it's raising 10 to 20%, I mean, that's unreal every year. And so I can, whether it's myself or my customers, put them in these places, and then those commercial developers are coming in, or residential developers are coming in and buying these 50-acre ranchettes in Whitesboro, and they're either putting commercial buildings on them or they're putting residential stuff in them. And so, like I said, some of that is I feel like my farm and ranch has given me a little upper hand in being able to buy those places and put them to use for a couple of years until that growth comes to them, and then being able to split them up and sell them. And so that's kind of what I like and what I want to do, you know. So they go hand in hand, I guess is what I'm saying. I like the ranching part of it, but I like the commercial part of it too. I think a lot of people would think that your ultimate customer is the person that calls you that says my budget is $150,000 for a mare, you know, and that's really not, for me. I want somebody, the first thing I want is somebody that calls that knows what they want. Like, I love when they call me and they say, I need a heel horse prospect and I need the kind. Like, I want a good one. I don't have time to ride an average one. So, and then they're educated enough to know the difference. I love having somebody that's educated enough that I can talk to him and say, hey, this horse is really cool, but I just want you to know, like, he's spicy. Like, he's gonna be a little tough in the corner when y'all get him going. You know what I mean? But if you can get him past that, you're gonna have a phenomenal horse. But at the same time, when I have those customers call me that maybe aren't as horse savvy, but they just say, I need a weekend sorter and I need one that's gentle. I like those people just the same because they're straightforward with me. They're not calling me and saying, I need an open level sorter. You know, I can ride one, you know, and you send them one and that horse is, you know, they fall off of it the second time they get on it. So I would say the ultimate customer is somebody that A, knows what they want, and B, also knows their, whether it's their limitations or what they need to make it work. They know exactly what they want, I guess, is what it all boils down to, and that's what I like. The budget is not, you know, that's irrelevant. I mean, we need somebody that understands what a good horse costs or whatever they're wanting costs, but I want them to know what they want and tell me, because I'll find it. I just gotta know. You just gotta tell me what you need. You know, what do you need and what are your, I can't live with them. You know, I can't live with the mare. Okay, that's fair. Or I can't live with, you know, one that's bronchi. That's great. Now we know. So I love a happy customer. Like that's my most favorite thing. When somebody sends me a text and says, we just love this horse, like it just totally makes my day. And when somebody sends me a text and say, hey, this horse is not kosher, it ruins the day, you know, and I call them and figure out what we got to do to figure it out. I mean, and sometimes they just don't fit, and that's fine. We'll take them back and we'll find one that does, you know.
On a fender, got it tuned up, give it something to remember. We're living life, living right. If you want to ride with me, better hold on tight. Driving by the moon, picking on a fender, got it tuned up, give it something to